Tapakathamritam Mashapam Shravanaramangalam Shrimadasatam. Nectar of the words is the life for those who are scorched by the world. The words which have been uttered by the knowers of truth, which I have vouched since, the very hearing of which is beneficial, which are beautiful, pleasing to the ears, pleasing to the hearts, which are inexhaustible. Those who recount them on the earth are the givers of plenty. Talks with Swami Vivekananda. Recorded by Sharat Chandra Chakraborty, a disciple of Swamiji. He is a very learned person, well versed in Sanskrit. He had a desire to have initiation. And he was told by Nagmasha that your guru will be Lord Shiva. It was in 1897. Vivekananda returned from America and is staying in Alambajar monastery. After lunch, Swamiji was resting. The disciple entered his room and found him sleeping. But when he was watching, he saw that it was not Swamiji, it was Lord Shiva lying down. Then he thought perhaps it is his illusion. He rubbed his eyes. Again he saw Vivekananda. Then again he saw Shiva. Then he realized that what Nagmasha said was true. Swamiji was an incarnation, partial incarnation of Shiva. Swamiji initiated him, asked him some Guru Dakshina. Disciple carried some leeches, Swamiji ate leeches. Then he initiated another disciple, Swami Shuddhananda. Then after initiation, Swamiji had lunch and went to take short rest. After the siesta, he came and sat in the hall of the upper story. The disciple, finding this opportunity, asked, "Sir, how and whence came the ideas of virtue and vice?" Pap punya, virtue, vice. This idea. How does it work? Swamiji says it is from the idea of the manifold that these have evolved. The more a man advances towards oneness, the more the ideas of I and you subside. Ideas from which all these pairs of opposites, such as virtue and vice, have originated. When the idea that so and so is different from me comes to the mind, all other ideas of distinction begin to manifest. While with the complete realization of oneness, no more grief or illusion remains for man. Tatra ko moha ka shoka ekatta manupashyata. For him who sees oneness, where is there any grief or any delusion? Sin may be said to be the feeling of every kind of weakness. From this weakness springs jealousy, malice, and so forth. Hence, weakness is sin. The self within is always shining forth, resplendent. Turning away from the people, say, I, with their attention held up by this material body, this queer cage of flesh and bones. This is the root of all weakness. From that habit only, the relative outlook of life has emerged in this world. The absolute truth lies beyond the duality. Now I just stop Vedanta. Pairs of opposites. In this world, the abilified will find positive, negative, good, bad, profit, loss, happiness, misery. this whole world is set up this way, good and evil, light and shadow. That is the way the world has been set up. Sometimes we think about millennium, everything should be good. That will never happen. Why? Because in the domain of Maya, it has three qualities, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So the Tamas is the darkness, Sattva is the light, and Rajas is the mixture of the two. That is the way the world has been set up. If all people are good, no play. If all people are bad, it will not work. Satya nrite mithuni kritta oyam loka vyavahara. Loka vyavahara. The dealings, the function in this world is possible when there is truth and untruth mixed. If you absolute truth, it will not work. You will be God. Absolute evil, that also will not work. Look how Sri Ramakrishna's example works. If the gold is 100% pure, you cannot make jewelry. You will have to mix alloy. Otherwise, gold is very soft. So when you mix alloy, that time only you can make necklace, bracelet, ring. Alloy should be there. That is not gold. So this world is a mixture of good and evil, virtue and vice. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, I am completely burnt. It is not possible for me to function in this world. Truth, absolute truth. His life is full of truth. His thoughts, his action, his speech, everything is truth and truth alone. He cannot function. In business world, wherever you go, always remember good and evil, truth and untruth mixed. Loka vyavahara, functioning in this world. In human beings, you will find so many good qualities. Again, you will see some human beings full of evil qualities. All in the dualistic plane. That Swamiji says, Tatra ko moha ko shoka vikatta munipashyata. When you realize the Atman, the oneness, the shoka, grief, moha, delusion cannot function there. You will be free from it. You will see God in everything, in every being. That is our goal. That virtue and vice, what did it mean? Bahut. It comes from variety, multiplicity, diversity. And that diversity comes from Maya, ignorance. I am better than you. He is better than me. Always you will find in this world, taratama, degrees. Positive degree, comparative degree, superlative degree, gradation of degrees. Amazing, these human beings. Swamiji is defining sin. Weakness is sin. From that weakness, all kinds of jealousy, hatred, anger, killing, murdering, all things come from this weakness. Swamiji says, that self-luminous Atman is within you, which is self-effulgence, but you do not see it. What you are seeing this body, which is a cage of flesh and bone. His words are very powerful. হাড় মাসের কিম্ভূত কিমাকার খাঁচা এই জড় শরীরটার দিকে সবর নজর দিয়ে আমি করছি. This cage of flesh and bone, I. All these human beings are telling I and my. That is the source of all weakness. From that came this empirical world, Vyavahar. Paramartha, the supreme reality, is beyond the duality. Disciple, well, is then all this relative experience not true? Swamiji, as long as this idea of I remains, it is true. And the instant the realization of I as the Atman comes, this world of relative existence becomes false. What people speak of as sin is the result of weakness, is but another form of egotistic idea. I am the body. When the mind gets steadfast in the truth, I am the self, then you go beyond merit and demerit, virtue and vice. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when I dies, all trouble is at an end. Ami mule guchibe janjal. Amazing, this I consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, this ego is the wall between the infinite and the finite. Break the ego. Very difficult, extremely difficult. Individuality, I consciousness. When you have this conviction that I am the Atman, you will go beyond this virtue and vice, good and bad. Ami mule guchibe, when I dies, all problems ceases. Disciple, sir, this I has most tenacious life. It is very difficult to kill it. Swamiji, yes, in one sense it is very difficult, but in another sense it is quite easy. Can you tell me where this I exists? How can you speak of anything being killed which never exists at all? Man only remains hypnotized with the false idea of an ego. When this ghost is off from us, all dreams vanish. And then it is found that one's self only exists, from the highest being to a blade of grass. This will have to be known, to be realized. All practice or worship is only for taking off this veil. When that will go, you will find that the sun of absolute knowledge is shining in its own luster. But the Atman only is self-luminous and has to be realized by itself. How can that which can be experienced only by itself be known with the help of any other thing? As the Shruti says, Viggataramare kena vijaniyat. Well, through what means is that to be known which is the knower? Whatever you know through the instrumentality of the mind. But mind is something material. It is active only because there is the pure self behind it. So how can you know that self? Through your mind? But this only becomes known, after all, that the mind cannot reach the pure self. No, not even the intellect. Our intellect knowledge, our relative knowledge ends just there. Then when the mind is free from activity or functioning, it vanishes and the self is revealed. This stage has been described by the commentator Shankara as aprokshanuti, as supersensuous perception. There is two words in Sanskrit, in Vedanta, parasangvedda, sasangvedda. Whether you know God, how do I know? Seeing your face, I cannot tell you. Whether your stomach is full or not, I do not know. Only you know. Your stomach is full. If I offer food, no, Swami, I just finished my dinner, I am full. But seeing your face, I cannot tell you. Only you know my stomach is full. That is called Shasang Vedda. The person, only he knows. No other Brahma knows what truth is. Parasang Vedda means you are claiming that you are a knower of Brahma, knower of God, but your action, your behavior does not show. Why? I have read the scriptures. I know the signs of a Jivan Mukto, illumined soul. I know the signs of a true devotee. I know the signs of a Sthita Prajna, a man of stage wisdom. I know the signs of a person who transcended the three gunas. I know all those things. I shall put those signs on you and I check that whether you pass the test or not. That is called Parasang Vedda. Meaning you are knowing through other means. A Shasang Vedda means you know by yourself that your stomach is full. So a knower of Brahman can be ascertained by these two processes. One is the person who realizes he knows. And through your signs, putting the signs on you, we know. He was talking about ego. For that reason, if you read the Nibbana Shatakam of Shankara, he is negating. Neti Atma, not this, not this, not this, not this. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there are 22 negative words have been used. Astula, Nanu, Arasamadhika, Malaitama, Suklama, Krishnama, Avarnam. 22 negative words have been used to prove that what Brahman is. Finally, silence. There is nothing to negate. The last negate is I. I. When we face this ego, what remains? That is the question. Swamiji told Madame Calvé, Swami, I am very fond of my individuality. I am the best opera singer in the 19th century. Whole world knows me. Swamiji said, forget your ego. You are crying like a bubble. Some raindrops fell into the ocean and became a bubble. That bubble is floating on the surface of the ocean. The ocean is telling, hi bubble, be one with me. The bubble is telling, no, I must preserve my individuality. Well, poor bubble. Listen, billions of bubbles have become one with me. You are that bubble, that little air in that bubble, it may burst at any time. And you will be one with me. No, I want to preserve my bubble individuality. So all these people, we have that little ego. It is a shadow. It is not real. The real ego is I am Brahman. But I am Chaitanya, that is false ego. I already changed my name 3 times. I superimposed Chaitanya after 3 times. That is now my IG and everything. Chaitanya, my pre-monastic name, my first monastic name, all are gone. I don't sometimes remember what my name was. How this ego changes. Name and form. I. We love our I. We love our egos. Shankara mentioned in Vivek Chulamani again and again, ahangta mamata bhavo. This world is the warp and woof of Maya. I and my, I and my, I and... If there is no I and my, there is no world. This world will vanish from your mind if there is no I and my. I and my tie just, bound us in this world. I'm beautiful, I'm learned, I'm this, I'm that. My husband, my wife, my children, my family, my car, my... all nothing but I and my. That is Maya. You see, we do not see Maya. Very subtle. But we see the manifestation of Maya, that is I, ego. Some people's ego is so sensitive. If you say anything, he will bite you like a cobra, hiss you. Sensitive ego. But show me, how shall we know this? I have ego. Strong likes and dislikes, hate you, I love you. That is the way you can understand that you have ego. You love somebody, you hate somebody. I do not like you. That is the sign of the ego. How to kill the ego. Do you know what Sri Ramakrishna said? It's a beautiful illustration. Here is a piece of gold, and you started to rub it on a piece of a stone. Then do you know what happened? A little remains between your two fingers that you cannot rub. Then your finger will be wiped out. A little, just a little. That little eye remains. And with that eye, we experience. That is the mantra Sri Ramakrishna teaches his disciples. Naham, naham, tuhum, tuhum, naham, naham, tuhum, tuhum. That is the mantra. Not I, thou, thou. Not I, thou, thou. That is ego-breaking mantra. Viggataramare kena vijaniyat. Saisha neti neti atma. Agrijyo nahi grijyati. Ashirjo nahi shirjati. Asanga nahi sajjati. Asito na vyatate na rishvati. Viggataramare kena vijaniyat. Jaggavalko, husband, giving instruction to his wife Maitreyi. Listen, my dear. Ye Atma, about whom I am going to tell you. Niti, niti, not this, not this, not this. Agrijyonai grijyate, it cannot be grasped. It is not attached. It never decays. It is never pained. Indestructible, eternal, infinite. He is the big Ganta. That is the knower. Who can know the knower? Vedanta raised this, put this question. You cannot sit on your own shoulder. No. How can you sit on your own shoulder? Somebody can sit on your shoulder. So when all duality vanishes, what remains? Aham, aham, I. Nothing else remains. That he was talking about. But how shall we know that I know the Atman? Mind. Manusaiva anudrashtabhyam. Through the mind you can know. What kind of mind? Pure mind. Swamiji gave a beautiful illustration. There is a big screen on your window. And there is a little hole. So you see the world through the little hole. Then you make the hole a little larger. You see more outside. You make it more larger. You see more outside. You remove the whole screen. You see whole outside, inside become one. Which is we are all seeing through the window. In the morning I was reading the experience of a monk, Ramananda Saraswati. I met him in 1997 in Omkareshwar on the bank of the Narmada River. He gave a beautiful illustration. Here is an earthen jar. In the jar there is a lamp. And the jar has many holes. And the light coming from each hole. But light is one. Beautiful illustration he gave. A big jar, earthen jar, hundreds and thousands of holes. One light is inside. Chip, 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 chip. All lights are coming. I was thinking, what a beautiful illustration he gave. That same light of Brahman coming through you, through me, through each one of us. Same light. Light is not different. Your whole, my whole, say, bringings, passing through same light. Very beautiful illustration. Mind. Drishyate tu agra buddhya sukshmayo sukshma dorshivi. In Kathopanishad says, how can I know? I want to know something. How can I know this Atman, Brahman? I need an instrument. What is the instrument? Tell me. In the final analysis, the knower, known, and the knowledge, all three become one. That is the realm of experience. It cannot be expressed. Samadhi cannot be expressed. What happens? Sri Ramakrishna says, hey, Ma, kotha bolte dicche na. Mother is pressing my mouth, I cannot express. That is the realm of experience. How to do it? If your mind is 75% pure, you will see gods and goddesses, divine forms. If the mind is 90% pure, you will get sampragata samadhi, then asampragata samadhi. Mind dissolves. When we read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, sometimes M's description tells us how Sri Ramakrishna's mind Sometimes it is drowned under the ocean of Satchidananda, sometimes it's coming on the surface. And she is talking. Again drowned. How did Ramakrishna teach? Do you know? He is in the borderline of the infinite and the finite. The moment he was looking this side, infinite emerges into Brahman. The moment he looks this side, he sees human beings are suffering. He comes forward to teach them. Then again he comes back. So he is the borderline between the infinite and the finite. The moment he is looking to the finite side, he sees the sufferings of humanity. He comes forward to help. And the moment he looks this side, he emerges. Swami Prabhupada told me, his Guru Swami Brahmananda, Maharaj, why don't you teach us? Listen, when I come back from my meditation, I see all of you are gods. So how can I teach the gods? Then my mind comes in a little warplane. At that time I see you people have some problems, defects, some bad things you have inside. Then I come and tell you, do this, do that. At that time I can teach. If mind is in higher plane, I cannot teach. Disciple, but sir, the mind itself is the I. If the mind is gone, then the I also cannot remain. Swami, yes. The state that comes then is the real nature of the ego. The I that remains then is omnipresent, all-pervading, and self-whole, just as Ghatakasha. Ghatakasha and Mahakasha, the technical terms used in Vedanta, they mean the space enclosed by the jar and the omnipresent sky. According to Vedanta, the two are one and the same. Only the former is limited by the upadhi adjunct of the ghat or jar. We discussed these things elaborately in the Panchadeshi class. If you break the jar, they become akasha. Sri Ramakrishna gave another beautiful illustration. Here is the ocean. You dropped a jar. What is it then? Jar is there. Is inside is water, outside is water. That happens. At that time your I, that ego, that jar, is saturated with cosmic consciousness. That he is talking about. That I is saturated with cosmic consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna's illustration, he says, 3 dolls, stone dolls took the bath, came back in the ocean. Cloth doll took bath in the ocean and it was soaked with water, it fell on the shore. He could not get up, soaked with water. And the salt doll went to take bath in the ocean and melted, became one with the ocean. The salt doll is the example of a jnani, merges into samadhi. Cloth doll represents bhakta, devotee. And stone dolls, worldly people. No change, remain the same. How Sri Ramakrishna explained this beautifully through dolls, 3 dolls. Ghata Akasha. When the jar is broken, becomes the Mahakasha, cosmic space. For with the destruction of the jar, the enclosed space is not destroyed. The space remains the same. The puny I, which you are thinking of as confined in the body, becomes spread out and is thus realized in the form of all-pervading I or the self. Hence, what matters it to the real I or the self, whether the mind remains or is destroyed. What I say you will realize in course of time. Kalena Atmani Vindati. It is realized within oneself in due time. As you go with Shravana and Manana, proper hearing and proper thinking, you will fully understand it in due time, and then you will go beyond mind. Then there will be no room for any such question. That is the Vedantic way of knowledge. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. First you listen from the Guru, J in, J out. Then reflect on it. And then meditate on it. Hearing all this, the disciple remained quiet on his seat. And Swamiji, as he gently smoked, continued, how many shastras have been written to explain this simple thing, and yet men fail to understand it. How they are wasting this precious human life on the fleeting pleasures of some silver coins and the frail beauty of women. Wonderful is the influence of Mahamaya. Mother, oh mother. It is hard to translate Swamiji's those words. আপাত মধুর কয়েকটা রূপার চাকতি আর মেয়ে মানুষের ক্ষণভঙ্গ রূপ নিয়ে দুর্লভ মনুষ্য জন্মটা কেমন কাটিয়ে দিচ্ছে। মহামায়ার আশ্চর্য প্রভাব। মা মা রূপর চাকতি। রূপর চাকতি মিন্স মানি। রূপ মিন্স গোল্ড, সিলভার। রূপর চাকতি আর এই temporary beauty of human beings, it's fleeting pleasures and beauty. How people misuse their lifetime. What a wonderful expression Swamiji made. Starting the Ramakrishna mission, did Swami Vivekananda differ from Sri Ramakrishna? Swami Vivekananda's attitude towards Sri Ramakrishna, the law of grace, Girish Chandra Ghosh. Bagbazar, Calcutta, 1st May 1897. Swamiji has been staying for some days at the house of late Balaram Boshu, that is in Bagbazar, North Calcutta. At his wish, a large number of devotees of Sri Ramakrishna have assembled at the house at 3 p.m. on 1st May 1st, 1897. Swami Yogananda is amongst those present here. The object of Swamiji is to form an association. When all present had taken their seats, Swamiji proceeded to speak as follows. The conviction has grown in my mind after all my travels in various lands that no great cause can succeed without an organization. In a country like ours, however, it does not seem quite practicable to me to start an organization at once with a democratic basis or work by general voting. People in the West are more educated in this respect and less jealous of one another than ourselves. They have learned to respect merit. Take for instance my case. I was just an insignificant man there, and yet see how cordially they received and entertained me. When with the spirit of education, the masses in our country will grow more sympathetic and liberal, when they will learn to have their thoughts expanded beyond the limits of sects and party, then it will be possible to work on the democratic basis of organization. For this reason, it is necessary to have a director. It is wrongly printed dictator. Swamiji did not say dictator. Director. For this society, that's a proofreading mistake. Everybody should obey him, and then in time we may work on the principle of general voting. Let this association be named after him, in whose name, indeed, we have embraced the monastic life, with whom, as your ideal in life, you all toil on the field of work from your station in family life, within 20 years of whose passing away, a wonderful diffusion of his holy name and extraordinary life has taken place in both in the East and the West. We are the servants of the Lord. Be you all helpers in this cause. As the preliminary talk, Swamiji wanted to start Ramakrishna Mission. Establish this organization. Swamiji is a great doubt. You see, organized religion nowadays, it does not work well. Organized religion. Why? Politics, power struggle, commercialism, jealousy. There is a story. A man was very famous, highly spiritual. Then somebody says, what will happen? He is going to form a beautiful religion, beautiful message. Then Satan said, don't worry, let him make organization, I shall go there and I shall pollute it. I know how to pollute organization. So Swamiji, when he was in Thousand Island Park in 1895, a thought came to his mind, shall I organize or not? If I organize, the spirit will diminish. All organizations have problems. No organization is perfect in this world. And if I do not organize, message will not spread. See the dilemma? If I organize, the spirit will diminish. And if I do not organize, message will not spread. So he organized. And he did it in a very democratic way. And he made the rule book of Belur Math, the rules and regulations of the monastics. If you follow his rules, then you will be fine. If you do not follow, then problems. So, when Swamiji was making rule book, do you know what did he say? Our goal is to become an outlaw. Go beyond rules. But we have some bad habits. To counteract those bad habits, we must develop some good habits. For that reason, I am making these rules. So that you can form good habits that will counteract your bad habits. And then transcend both. That he said in the rule book. Do you see these papers? This is the minute of the Ramakrishna Mission from 1st May 1897. From there, some aspects I shall tell you. All are not in this book. Very interesting. In the English book, this portion is omitted. Preliminary meeting Saturday, 1st May 1897. In response to a call from Swami Vivekananda, meeting of the household disciples and followers of Sri Ramakrishna was held on the evening of the 1st May 1897 at the premises of the late Babu Balaram Bose, number 57, Ramkantapur Street, Calcutta. Several monks of the Alambajar Math also attended the meeting. In view of the increasing interest and expansion of the movement to disseminate the Master's ideas, teachings and principles, it was thought desirable to form an organization to carry on the work methodically. A local center in Calcutta was thought to be essential, where all could meet regularly to exchange their ideas, to adopt means for relating the knowledge of those principles and teachings of the masses, and to keep themselves in touch with the other sister bodies in different parts of India, America, and England by the interchange of views for the furtherance of the cause. A general body of members was drawn up, considering of all who, however different in other respects, have a common ground of unity in the love of Ramakrishna and his teachings. An executive committee has also been formed from among those present, and the subscription list was opened for collecting a monthly sum for house rent and other necessary expenditures. It was resolved that a weekly meeting would be held at the house of Babu Girish Chandra Ghosh for the present. The preliminary meeting of the committee would take place next Wednesday evening to appraise the rules to guidance, screening principles, objects of the association. Number of audience about 40. Let me give a free translation what in the Bengali version of the book. This English, they skipped it, they did not translate it. The teachings Ramakrishna told to for the good of humanity should be spread all over the world, so that people can improve their physical, mental, and spiritual aspects. So the goal of this mission is to improve human beings. Brata, bhav. That is uddesho, goal. Brata. This organization will respect all religious organizations, all religions of the world, and establish relationship with them, as Sri Ramakrishna did. Not that converting or doing all these things, activities. We must improve this society by spreading, giving them good education, teach them industry, how to earn money, and various other things, connecting also with the spiritual life. Indian work. The monks must go all over the country and establish ashramas, and they will go to foreign countries also to carrying the message of Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji became the general president of the organization. Swami Brahmananda became the president of the Calcutta Center. Swami Yogananda Vice President. Narendranath Mitra, attorney, became the secretary. Shashi Bhushan Ghosh and Sharat Chandra Sarkar, assistant secretaries, and the Sharat Chandra Chakraborty, the author of this, became the reader of the scripture. It was decided that every Sunday at 4 o'clock, the meeting will be held at Balaram's house. He has a big hall. These Sunday services continued 3 years, every Sunday at Balaram's house. Swamiji sometimes used to attend these meetings, and sometimes he used to sing after the meeting. When the meeting was over, Swamiji told Swami Yogananda, so the work is now begun this way. Let us see how far it succeeds by the will of Sri Ramakrishna. This is just the beginning of the Ramakrishna order. Yogananda asked, "You are doing these things with Western methods. Should you say Sri Ramakrishna left us any such instructions?" And now the fight will begin. Even some disciples of Ramakrishna doubted. They were thinking that Sri Swamiji has come from America. He is introducing all Western ideas and thoughts. Sri Ramakrishna never told us this kind of thing. He told us meditate and realize God. Why bother about this hospitals and educational institutions? In next class you will find even the disciples doubted. And Swamiji, how he replied, "You want to make Ramakrishna small? I shall break that barrier." He will, in next class you will see how Swamiji will pound his disciples forward. How much did you understand Ramakrishna? Oh, look, I wanted the thing which you were asking for. I wanted to remain in Samadhi. I did not want to work. And Sri Ramakrishna scolded me. You are selfish. Shame on you, fie on you. I thought there would be a huge banyan tree under your shade. People will get peace, joy. And you are asking your own liberation, salvation. You are selfish. My Guru scolded me. And you are asking me to, shall I follow you or shall I follow my Guru? You will find next class there will be a fight. So we shall keep it now. Fight in next class. Huh? It is page 51, perhaps whenever convenient, put it there. Below, when the meeting has broken up, there we shall start. Very interesting, Swamiji.
Swami, are those the original?
No, it is a copy from the original. It is a Xerox copy of the original. This minute book helped me to write the life of Girish Chandra Ghosh, A.M., Ramakrishna Jai saw him. These things helped me a lot. Some are Bengali, some are English, mixed. Perhaps these minutes can be printed as a book, so that people can see. There are many precious things are there in this. Luckily I got these things, I have two sets. One set I got from Hollywood. Swami Vivekananda. When you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, aim is to read his diary in this meeting. And there we find some more information than which is not printed in the Gospel of Ramakrishna. Some more information are there in this. Joe, it is necessary to learn Bengali.
Next time.
I am glad that I am Bengali.